Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today guys we are going to do a top 5 video on my top 5 favorite dragon monsters of all time in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I know a lot of people out there hate dragons, and I know a lot of people out there love dragons in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But there's a couple things before I get started today that I want you to please keep in mind when watching this video. This video is actually going to be a two-part video. This video itself is going to be based on dragons that can only be played in the main deck. So things like Red Eyes, Baby Dragon, dragons that you only can play in the main deck, in your main deck. But next week, I'm going to have another top 5 video on my top 5 favorite dragons in the extra deck. So Synchro Dragons, Xyz Dragons, Fusions involve dragons. Things like that will be in next week's video, but this week we're just focusing on the main deck. So without further ado, let's get started to my number 5 favorite dragon of all time. So guys, my number 5 favorite dragon of all time, as you saw, that you can play in the main deck is Delta Flyer. Now some of you guys may not even know what Delta Flyer is. Delta Flyer is a level 3 tuner with 1,500 attack and 900 defense. The reason why I chose Delta Flyer instead of some iconic dragons like Red Eyes and Baby Dragon, which I will admit, if this list was a top 10 list of my favorite dragons, they would for sure be on that list. But the reason I chose Delta Flyer was he's been my main dragon tuner since he came out. It's been a while now, actually, he's been out, but for a long period of time, he's been my main dragon tuner. Whitestone of Legend, you could argue, comes in a close second, but he's been the main one that I've used in a multitude of different decks for a long period of time. In my Marauding Captain deck, I use him as a tuner. In my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, I use him as a tuner. And also in my Horus the Black Flame Dragon deck, which I love that deck to death, I use him as a tuner, and because I run Solidarity in the Horus the Black Flame Dragon deck, he can just become a level 3 tuner that has, with Solidarity out in the field, he can have an attack boost of 2,300 attacks. So he can just wreck face like that, which is really fun. But he's been my main tuner, and I like his versatility because he can reduce another monster's level, and he gives you that manipulation to go into, for example, a level 8 synchro or a level 7 synchro. He gives you versatility. Some people prefer Influence Dragon over Delta Flyer, but I personally prefer Delta Flyer because it has that little bit more beefier attack, and it comes in use depending upon what deck you use. But I prefer Delta Flyer, and I've always liked his artwork too because it looks like he's like a dragonfly type thing, as you can tell. But he's definitely my main dragon tuner, and he's pretty much my number 5 favorite dragon of all time. So without further ado, guys, let's go to my number 4 favorite dragon of all time, and this is where the good stuff happens now. So guys, as you can tell, my number 4 favorite dragon of all time is Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Now, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is, or Red MD as we're going to call him, Red MD is my favorite form of Red Eyes Black Dragon by far. His artwork is amazing, and his effect and his ability and his attack just blows my mind sometimes when I think of him, because he helps so many just dragon decks out, just dragon decks. Now, I miss when he was at 3, because he really helped. When he was at 3, he helped Horus the Black Flame Dragon out. He helped my Blue Eyes Fusion deck out before we had Blue Eyes Maiden. I loved him at 3, but I know he's very powerful, and people hated him at 3 because the Chaos Dragon structure deck came out, and like Pulsar came out, and then all those crazy shenanigans, Future Fusion, 5-headed God Dragon coming down, all those crazy shenanigans happened. So yeah, and then people kind of hated him in a way when E-Dragons first came out, and they wanted him banned because they were like, oh, he's making E-Dragons more broken than they should be. And I was like, please don't get hit, please don't get hit. And he hasn't got hit yet because he's just good dragon support. He's not something that you can just splash in other decks per se. I mean, you probably could if you had a dragon engine going on, but he just is good dragon support, and he helps big dragons that have good effects come out, and he can start combo plays, and in his own right he could be considered a boss type monster because he has 2,800 attack and 2,400 defense. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, for how easy it is to get him out. Just banish one dragon, and once per turn you can bring a dragon back from the graveyard or your hand out. That is amazing. The combos you can do with that is just all the different things you can do and all this different setup plays you can do. It's amazing, and he just makes dragon decks work. When he was at 3, he was the core of a dragon deck. Any dragon deck I would make. I'm sorry I do not have a hollow one with me right now, but he's just an amazing card, and he used to be the backbone of a lot of my dragon decks. And when he got hit to 1, I still put him in all my dragon decks. Horus the Black Flame Dragon and Blue Eyes White Dragon he is in at the current moment, but he just makes those decks work. You may have a clunky hand, but you just summon a weak dragon, banish it, bring Red MD out. Then if you got a Blue Eyes in hand, you just bring Blue Eyes White Dragon down from the heavens, or Horus level 6 out, and do all your shenanigans with that. So he just makes dragon decks work. He has amazing artwork. He's his own boss monster in his own right. He's my favorite form of Red MD, like I said earlier, and he's just, there's not enough praise I can give this guy for what he's done for me throughout my playing dragon deck career, I guess you could say. So without further ado, let's go to my number 3 favorite dragon of all time. I hope you guys are enjoying this video as well. So guys, my number 3 favorite dragon monster that you can play in the normal deck is Strong Wind Dragon. It's actually a cool card. If my memory serves me correctly, this is a card that Jack Atlas did use in the anime in 5Ds, if my memory is correct. Now, it's kind of interesting how I came about this card and why I like it so much. I was originally did not know about the card really that much. Then I was playing my 5Ds game one day, and Jack Atlas on my 5Ds game, I forget which one it was, summoned Strong Wind Dragon on me. And I was like, ooh, that's... So he got a bonus because, you know, it's a dragon monster. He tributed it, and it's a big, huge piercer. And I was like, I got a feeling I could find a way to utilize this card a lot better. If you don't know Strong Wind Dragon, let me just give you a little bit of the lowdown on how this card is. It's a 1 tribute dragon monster that if you tribute a dragon monster, it gains half that monster's attack, that dragon monster's attack. It's a big, huge piercer, and it can't be destroyed when it fights a monster with the same attack. It's got 2,400 attack and 1,000 defense. Not that much on the defense, but it can get really, really big, and I mean that. In my Horus the Black Flame Dragon deck, which I've been referring to throughout this video, I run Solidarity, and I run all dragons in that deck, so I can sacrifice a mass dragon that has, with, you know, solidarities out in the field, and I have a mass dragon on field. You know, I could have, you know, mass dragon with solidarity is, if I remember correctly, is 2,200 attack. So I get about a little bit more than 1,000 attack, about 11,000, I think. I can't do the math. I'm just doing the math quickly in my head. So I get a little bit over 1,000 attack. So that already means he's above 3,000 attack. Plus with solidarity on the field, you get in how big this guy can really get in that deck. He's just like a big, he's what a dragon should be. You know, big, strong, muscular, just going to pound you in the face, you know, with this card. And if you have like Royal Decree out and your opponent, you know, can't use traps, or you have a Forbidden Lance in hand, or you have some other cards, you know, Safe Zone. If you have Safe Zone on him, he just can become this huge monster with big, huge attack and that can just go through, plow through anything. And he can win games because he's a piercer. So if your opponent has a monster in defensive mode because they're scared of all your big dragons coming out with solidarity on the field, this guy can just be like, oh, you got 2,000 life points left? Let's just pierce right through that for game. And he's just an amazing card. His artwork is pretty cool. He kind of looks like a winged Pegasus monster, kind of like a horse and a dragon human. It's really kind of cool looking if you take a second to look at the picture. But he really looks cool, and he can be very powerful. He's one of the most strongest 1 tribute monsters. He has the potential to be one of the strongest one tribute monsters that I've ever summoned, and it's ridiculous how big his attack can get, and he can just run over things, and he can be pretty annoying with some uh, correct setup on the field. Be a really annoying monster to get around and get over. But that is why Strongwing Dragon is my number 3 favorite dragon of all time that you can play in the main deck. So let's go to my number 2. Yes, number 2 favorite dragon of all time that you can play in the main deck. So guys, I hope you guessed by dropping all those hints and talking about my Horus the Black Flame Dragon deck that you would assume and guess that the big man himself was definitely going to be on this list. And that is Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8. Yes, I love his artwork. I love that he's like shooting this blue beam of light to destroy everything on the field. And he just has such an amazing effect in it, and which I'll talk about in a second. But he's so amazing in the Horus the Black Flame Dragon deck because with Solidarity out in the field, he can just become this big, huge monster that can say no to all the spell cards that your opponent tries to activate, and you just destroy them, which is amazing. If you guys do not know, Horus the Black Flame Dragon says when this card's out in the field, you can negate as many times as you want to spell cards that your opponent activates, and you can destroy those spell cards. So if they activate Necro Valley or Field Spelled, and Horus the Black Flame Dragon's out in the field, you can say no and destroy it. He can do that multiple times with no downside. You don't have to discard a card. You can't only do it once per turn. You can do it as many times as you want to, and just keep saying no. And it's so cool when you get Horus the Black Flame Dragon out against a spellbook deck because you can just say no to everything they do. It's so sweet. But he's amazing. I played Horus the Black Flame Dragon back when I think he came out, if my mind serves me correctly, Soul of a Duelist. I believe that's the set he came out of. I could be wrong, but I do remember that the set came out in late 2004. So I think it was the fall of 2004 actually. So towards the end of this year, this card will now be officially 10 years old, and I've been playing this deck for about 7 years. I did dismantle the deck and sold some parts off during my high school when I stopped playing. I took a break, but when I got back into college, I rebuilt the deck with the help of one of my friends, and I really love the deck to death. I really love Horus the Black Flame Dragon. He's just so amazing. He looks so cool. Has such a great effect. He is hard to get out, but I hope one day, Konami, will you just give me some level monster support so I can play level monsters again, like Mystic Swordsman and Horus the Black Flame Dragon? He's amazing. And if you guys know my channel, you should know that this is one of my favorite dragons of all time. I mean, I'm so happy I get to talk about all these different dragons. You guys probably can guess what number 1 is going to be, but I want to talk about all these other dragons and why I really enjoy them. There's so many different types of cards you can play in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, but you know, dragons are one of my favorite by far. And Horus the Black Flame Dragon is sometimes I will admit, Horus the Black Flame Dragon is actually my favorite dragon sometimes out of all the other dragons that I've spoken about in this video, and even the number 1 spot. But right now, he's in my number 2 slot, and I really love him. He's amazing. He's cool. He's awesome. And I would suggest to anybody, try a Horus the Black Flame Dragon deck out if you really want to have some fun. So guys, without further ado, let's get to my number 1 favorite dragon that you can play in the main deck. And you guys, if you know me, you know my channel, you probably can guess what the number 1 is going to be. So guys, I pretty much guessed that many of you already know what my number 1 favorite dragon is of all time, if you know me and know my channel, and that is Blue Eyes White Dragon, the card that got me into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever since I saw the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Kaiba summoned all 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, I've just been in love with the card. It's the card that really got me into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And got me to buy my original, Kaiba structure decks and get my 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons from all 3 of the Kaiba structure decks. I mean, I've had these guys since the beginning, and these are the cards that mean the most to me. They remind me of my grandmother, who I take care of. They remind me of my brother and having fun times with him. And the fact that now I can play them in a deck, and no matter what type of version of Blue Eyes White Dragon you like to play in your deck, where you like to put them, it's just so fun to play with a nostalgic and iconic card in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Blue Eyes White Dragon. And the artwork is just simply beautiful. It's simply amazing. And like I've said before, and I'll probably talk about later, I mean, Seto Kaiba is one of my favorite characters, and that's another reason why I've always related to Blue Eyes White Dragon. I've always related to Seto Kaiba as a person and what he went through, and the rough road he got to be Seto Kaiba. I can relate to that a lot. I mean, that's a relatable story personally for me because I lost my mother when I was very little, and I had to grow up with only one dad. I mean, unlike Seto, I didn't lose my entire family and was an orphan, but I had to take care of my younger brother growing up because we didn't have my mom. So I can relate to him, and I can relate to him because of Blue White Dragon and the love for it. So that's why he's one of my favorite. That's why I chose this name. Seto Kaiba as my channel, but I'll talk about that more when we get to my 1,000th subscriber video. But I just love Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's an amazing card. 3,000 attack. It's one of the reasons why they don't usually make monsters over 3,000 because of Blue Eyes White Dragon, and it's powerful. And as you've seen in many arcs after the original Yu-Gi-Oh, anytime the antagonist has a monster, it's always 3,000 attack for the most part. Jack Atlas, 3,000 attack. Red Dragon Archfiend. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, excuse me, what's his name? Kite. Kite has Photon Dragon, 3,000 attack. So, it still rings, that 3,000 attack still goes on. But I just love him so much, and he just means so much to me, and I love him to death. It's kind of hard to explain unless you know me and you know my past and know me personally why I love this card so much. But, sometimes I feel like, I can just look at the card and I feel like I can hear Blue Eyes White Dragon calling to me. Well, I mean, if I stare at it long enough, I'll hear it again. So try next time, just take a look at Blue Eyes White Dragon, and maybe you'll hear it, calling to you. Just calling to you. So guys, so next time, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Seto Kaiba, I'm out of here, guys.